There's a moment in sport where everything stops feeling like a game. Where the crowd goes quiet for just a second, where the cameras tighten, and where millions of people lean forward without even realizing it. That moment is coming. And it's coming in Rome. 90 minutes from now, on the red clay of the Foro Italico, a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines is going to walk out onto center court and look across the net at one of the most physically dominant tennis players on the planet. And she's not going to blink. Her name is Alexandra Eala. And if you don't know that name yet, I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never forget it. Because what is about to happen in Italy isn't just a tennis match. It's the kind of story that doesn't come around very often. The kind that makes you stop scrolling, pull up a stream, and forget you had plans. This is one of those moments. So let's talk about it properly, from the very beginning, because to understand why today matters so much, you have to understand the road that led here. Alex Eala was 12 years old when she left the Philippines and flew to Spain. Not for a holiday. Not for a short training camp. She went to the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, packed her bags, said goodbye to her family, and committed herself entirely to becoming a tennis player. Think about that for a second. 12 years old. Living abroad. Training every single day on clay courts built by the most decorated clay court player in the history of the sport. 8 years of that. 8 years of absorbing methodology, building technique, and developing the kind of mental resilience that only comes from surviving hard days alone in a foreign country. That foundation is not an accident. Everything you are about to watch today was constructed brick by brick over nearly a decade. Now fast forward to 2026. Alex is ranked 42nd in the world. She's 20 years old. And she has already done things this season that the tennis world is still trying to fully process. 16 tour-level wins across 10 tournaments. The most wins of any left-handed player on the WTA Tour this year. She defeated Iga Swiatek. She defeated Coco Gauff. She beat Madison Keys and Jasmine Paolini. 4 top 10 wins. On 3 different surfaces. Against 4 completely different playing styles. This is not a player who got lucky once. This is a player who figured something out and keeps figuring it out, week after week, against better and better opponents. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Because heading into Rome, clay was the one surface people still pointed to as her question mark. Hard courts, fine. Grass, sure. But clay, the slow red dirt that demands patience and endurance and the ability to construct points over long rallies, that was supposed to be where the limits showed up. And then the Italian Open happened. In her first match, she faced Magdalena Frech, a seasoned Polish veteran who knows how to fight on this surface. Alex dropped a set. The doubters perked up. And then she closed it out, 6-4 in the third, posting a 68% second serve win rate that silenced every single one of them. That number, 68% on second serve returns on clay, is not a fluke. That is a player who has done her homework. Then came Wang Xinyu, and this match told you everything you need to know about who Alex Eala actually is. She fell behind 3-0 in the opening set. 3 games down, on clay, against a player who was locked in and swinging freely. Most players her age feel that deficit and tighten up. The weight of the moment starts pressing down. Alex did the opposite. She broke serve 7 times. She won 6-4, 6-3. She committed 0 double faults across the entire match. 0. And in doing so, she became the first Filipino player in the Open era to reach the 3rd round of the Italian Open. History. Quiet, significant, real history. And now this. Elena Rybakina. World number 2. Reigning Australian Open champion. Wimbledon champion. 26 years old, standing 6 feet tall, built like someone engineered specifically to destroy tennis balls. Her serve has been clocked above 120 miles per hour. She's won 24 of her last 26 matches at WTA 1000 level events. She just dismantled Maria Sakkari 6-4, 6-1, and it wasn't even that close. When you watch Rybakina play, there are moments where she doesn't feel like a tennis player. She feels like a system. Flat, clinical, precise. First strike tennis is executed at a level that makes experienced professionals look like they are playing a different sport. On paper, this matchup looks impossible. And that's exactly why I need you to stay with me, because the paper is wrong. Here's the thing about Rybakina that the highlight reels don't always show you. Her game is built for speed. Fast surfaces, quick points, short rallies where her serve and flat forehand can end things before an opponent settles in. Grass is her paradise. Hard courts suit her perfectly. But clay? Clay is a different animal entirely. Clay slows the ball down. Clay rewards patience. Clay turns tennis into a long-form conversation instead of a series of quick statements. And that shift, from fast tennis to slow tennis, changes everything about this matchup. Because every single thing that clay takes away from Rybakina is something it gives to Alex. Think about the serve. On faster surfaces, a 120-mile-per-hour delivery barely gives a returner time to set their feet. On clay, the ball bounces higher and slower. It sits up just a fraction longer. That fraction is enough for Alex, standing deep behind the baseline, to read the trajectory and load her return. Enough to get her racket on first serves that would be unreachable elsewhere. And when those rallies start, when the point extends past 3 or 4 shots, Rybakina moves away from her comfort zone and Alex moves directly into hers. This is a player who spent 8 years training on clay under Nadal-influence coaching. Extended baseline exchanges on red dirt are not her weakness. They are her weapon. Her left-handed forehand cross-court generates heavy topspin that kicks violently upward as it bounces, jumping toward the shoulder, disrupting the kind of flat, low contact point that Rybakina's ground game depends on. When that ball is jumping at her shoulder instead of sitting at her hip, Rybakina is no longer executing. She's defending. And defending is not where world number 2 players want to spend their afternoon. Then look at second serve returns, because this is where Alex genuinely terrifies elite opponents. She's winning 36.7% of return games in 2026. That is an elite number by any standard. Her ability to read the toss early, shift her weight, and attack aggressively means that every Rybakina second serve becomes a genuine contest. If Alex breaks serve twice across the match and if she converts even 2 of those opportunities into held games, this thing goes 3 sets. And in a 3-set clay court battle, the player with the deeper clay foundation almost always finds a way. History has shown us that. Now let's talk about something that doesn't show up in statistics but shapes matches more than people admit. Pressure. Where it lives, who carries it, and what it does to a player's decision-making late in a third set. Rybakina walks onto that court today as the heavy favorite. Bookmakers have already written the result. Media narratives have already been drafted. She is expected to win cleanly and efficiently in straight sets because that is what world number 2 players do against unseeded opponents ranked 40 places below them. That expectation is a weight. A quiet, invisible weight that sits on your shoulders every time you miss a first serve, every time a rally goes longer than it should, every time the scoreboard doesn't reflect what it was supposed to reflect. A loss today doesn't just end her Italian Open. It generates uncomfortable headlines about clay court vulnerability with Roland Garros 1 week away. That is pressure. Real, specific, uncomfortable pressure. Alex carries none of it. She is the underdog by every measurable standard. Every point she wins is a bonus. Every game is a statement. She can swing freely, take risks, and go for lines that a player protecting a lead would never attempt. That psychological asymmetry is not a small thing. It is often the thing that decides matches between players of this caliber. And then there is the crowd. There is the Eala army. Filipino fans across Europe have been moving toward Rome all week. At her previous matches, Philippine flags have been filling the stands. Chants in Tagalog have been loud enough to reach broadcast microphones. The energy in that stadium when Alex steps on court is going to flow entirely in one direction. In the Philippines, tennis doesn't get state funding or billion-dollar infrastructure. What it gets is passion. Families who sacrifice everything to support their players. Communities that gather around screens at strange hours because one of their own is competing on the biggest stages in the world. When a clay court rally stretches beyond 15 shots, when both players are gasping and the crowd is loud and everything feels like it's on the line, the player who hears 115 million people channeling belief through stadium walls finds something extra. Rybakina has never experienced the Eala army at full deployment on a slow surface. That is not something you can prepare for. Let's talk about what today actually means, win or lose, because this is important. A victory over Rybakina would be historic. First Filipino player to reach the round of 16 at a WTA 1000 clay event. Massive ranking points. Seeding implications heading into Roland Garros that would reshape her entire French Open draw. Even if the match goes against her today, she leaves Rome with 3 wins at a 1000-level clay tournament, a 68% second serve return rate, and proof that the surface people called her weakness has become something else entirely. There is no bad outcome for Alex's trajectory. But outcomes aren't the only thing that matters. Principles matter. Moments matter. The story of a 12-year-old who left home, trained for 8 years on Spanish clay, and walked onto center court in Rome to face the second-best player in the world and make her earn every single point. That story matters. Every generation of tennis produces 1 or 2 matches that people remember years later as the moment they knew. The moment where an underdog stopped being an underdog and became something permanent. Yelena Ostapenko at Roland Garros in 2017. Leylah Fernandez at the US Open in 2021. Alex was in Miami last year when she stood across the net from Iga Swiatek and won. Those moments don't announce themselves in advance. They happen on ordinary afternoons, on courts that look just like every other court, when conditions quietly align and someone reaches beyond what was expected of them and finds out what they are actually made of. Today the conditions are aligned. The surface suits the challenger more than the favorite. The psychological weight sits unevenly. The crowd will be electric. The form is ascending at exactly the right moment. And Alexandra Eala, 20 years old and ranked 42nd in the world, carrying 8 years of red clay in her legs and 4 top 10 wins in her memory, is about to walk out onto center court and find out just how high the ceiling goes. The wall is there. But so is the hammer. And today, on the red clay of Rome, we are all going to watch what happens when they finally meet.